Alright fellas, today I'm going to give you a guide on fragrance, and I'm also going to show you how to apply your fragrance. What's good, y'all? This is Steve from the Dapper Aristocrat. If you're new to the channel and you want to look good, stand out, and get compliments, hit that subscribe button and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you don't miss any new content. You know, a few years ago, only time I wore fragrance was during special occasions. But now I've incorporated fragrances into my everyday living. Wearing a fragrance helps me stand out because a lot of guys nowadays don't even wear fragrances. So you're probably wondering, why should I wear a fragrance? Well, wearing a fragrance offers a lot of benefits. Number one, it makes you feel more attractive and sexy. Two, if you find a fragrance that you love and it becomes a signature for you, people that smell you on an everyday basis, whenever they smell that fragrance, even 10, 20 years from today, they're gonna always think of you. And that's great. Fragrance gives people the impression that you're stylish and that you clean up well. Fragrance makes you less stressed and it also boosts your confidence. Plus, women love fragrance. Women look at everything, and one of the things that they look at is our scent. So when you think about it, fragrance has a lot of benefits. Now that you know how fragrances can benefit you, now you're probably wondering, how do I choose a fragrance? There are a few things that you got to consider. When you're choosing a fragrance, you want something that not only smells good, but you also want to know how long it's going to last you. Colognes are basically a complex mixture of raw material that they've extracted into an oil. The more oil you have in the cologne, the longer it will last, and vice versa. Now usually when you pick up a bottle of cologne, there's usually this French name that's usually hard to say, and I'm not talking about the name of the cologne, I'm talking about the name that's at the bottom of the cologne. When you look at that terminology, it basically tells you the concentration of oil that's in that cologne. Now take a look at this diagram that I got from Real Man Real Style. Eau Franche, I probably butchered that name. It's gonna last you for less than an hour. Eau de Cologne, about a half hour to 2 hours. Eau de Toilette, 3 to 4 hours. Eau de Parfum, 4 to 5 hours, and Parfum, 5 to 7 hours. The more concentrated the cologne is, the more expensive it will be. Now I gave you an example of how long all these fragrances will last you. Don't go by that as a standard because sometimes they last longer than that. For an example, Eau Franche by Versace Man, it lasts me about 3 to 5 hours. Dior Sauvage, it's a EDP. This lasts me about 8 to 12 hours. Just use it as a guide. Certain fragrances are more concentrated than others. All fragrances have 3 phases. Your top notes, which is the first scent that you'll smell, generally last you about 15 minutes. After it goes out of that phase, it goes into the medium note, or more known as the mid note. The mid note usually lasts about 3 to 5 hours. The base note is usually the last scent that you notice with the fragrance, and it generally lasts you about 5 to 10 hours. There are 2 different types of fragrances. Your designer fragrances and you have your niche fragrances. Your designer fragrances are the fragrances that you usually see in your department stores, but your niche fragrances are made by designers that believe in providing you with a high quality fragrance. These colognes are mainly made by perfumers that love to display their art and show their range as far as creating a fragrance. Now the only niche fragrance that I own is St. Julep. It's a unisex perfume. I picked up a smaller version of it. It cost me about $38, and I'm happy that I got it because it's just something different that I can wear whenever I want to, just to change it up. So now that you have all this information, let's talk about how do you shop for a fragrance. I would recommend trying out Ulta or Sephora because if you go to these stores, a lot of the salespeople won't bother you. Now I know particularly Ulta, which is a place that I go to sometimes, they have strips that you can use and you can spray the fragrance on them, and they also have coffee beans so that you can get that scent out of your nose. But I hear Sephora is also another great place. From what I understand, they allow you to take samples home so you can play around with it a little bit more. Use the strips to test out the colognes that you're interested in. Once you narrow down your selection on what you like the best, if you're looking at 2 fragrances, what I would recommend is that you spray them in some of the pressure points of your body. Ideally, you want to get to a place that is very accessible. So I would recommend your wrist, but if you were in between 4 fragrances, then you can also use the inside of your elbow. After you spray that fragrance on your skin, you gotta give it some time to stay on your skin to go through the phases. Now don't stop at the top note. You want to give yourself some time to really experience the fragrance. Check out the scents in about an hour, see which one you like the best on your skin, and then go back to the store and pick it up. All right, fellas. So where should you spray your fragrance? Now when you spray your fragrance, you want to spray it in your pressure points. Your pressure points include behind your ear, at the base of your throat, your chest, the inside of your elbow, the inside of your wrist, and also behind your knees. So while we're on the subject of sprays, let me tell you something that you should not do with cologne. Now if you got a cologne, don't spray it in the air and then walk into it. What you're doing is just wasting your cologne. What you should do is just spray it directly on your body. That's one mistake that we always make when we're spraying our cologne. Another mistake that we make when wearing our cologne is something that one of my favorite fragrance YouTubers showed me. What he told me was that rubbing the fragrance into your skin is almost like seeing a nice smelling flower on the ground and stomping on it. Spray the cologne on your body in those pressure points that I just went over, and just let the cologne dry on your skin and allow it to go through its phases. Now how much should you spray? You don't want to be that guy out there that got on so much cologne that you're giving people headaches. There was one time I was at a restaurant and there was a gentleman that hadn't even stepped foot into the restaurant. As soon as he opened the door, wind was blowing in the restaurant, all you could smell was Dior Sauvage all over the restaurant. The man hadn't even stepped in the restaurant. Cologne isn't made for everybody to smell all over the room. Cologne is made to be smelled at a small distance. Be moderate. If it's your first time wearing a cologne, take 4 sprays and spread them around all of your pressure points. But if you have experience with your cologne, just go by what's best for you, but just don't spray too much. What are some of your favorite fragrances that you wear? Leave that in the comment section below. Alright fellas, while I'm talking about fragrances and scents, I wanted to kind of introduce you guys to a fragrance that my guy George just put me onto, and he is actually the creator of this fragrance, and that fragrance is Zahara. And this is something that I've been experiencing for a few months now. This bottle just looks great. It's very well designed. It's probably one of the best designed bottles I've ever seen. I really like the fragrance. It's very different from me. I typically wear citrusy, fresh scents, and that's what I'm accustomed to. But this fragrance is different for me, and this is a prime example of a fragrance that you kind of want to let settle on your skin, because as you spray it on, it has a nice scent, but as it dries down, it smells even better. If you're interested in this fragrance, I believe he sells it at Nordstrom's, but I just heard that he sold out at Nordstrom's. But check out Nordstrom's, or if you're interested in this fragrance, I'll leave a link to his Instagram. I'm honored that he sent it to me, because people don't send me stuff on a regular basis. But he sent me this fragrance. I want to share it with you guys and let you know that it's a nice fragrance and I really like it. Shout out to all my Dappercrats out there. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe if you're new to the channel. And always remember to be a gentleman, stay dapper, and I'll see you guys next video.